Welcome to my channel Buzz. On April 14th, 2025, pop icon Katy Perry did something no one expected. She went to space. Yes, the same woman who sang Firework now literally launched herself into the stars. The moment was surreal. Katy Perry, draped in a sleek flight suit, walked confidently towards the Blue Origin launch pad, joining the NS-31 mission. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and social media exploded. The world watched as the New Shepard rocket glistened under the early morning light and rose into the sky. But what began as a glamorous, star-studded mission quickly spiraled into controversy. The headlines that followed weren't all celebratory. Questions flooded the internet. Was this a genuine scientific leap or just another billionaire joyride? Was this a breakthrough for women in STEM or simply a PR stunt with a hefty price tag? This mission wasn't like any before it. It marked the first time an all-female crew ventured into space on a suborbital flight. Alongside Perry were engineers, scientists and influencers, all selected for their impact and visibility. For about 10 minutes, they experienced weightlessness, peering down at Earth from the edge of the atmosphere. Katy, overcome with emotion, reportedly sang a few lines of "What a Wonderful World" while floating, her voice echoing in microgravity. That clip alone racked up millions of views within hours. While many hailed it as a historic milestone, others were skeptical. Back on Earth, the conversation was shifting. The awe and wonder of space gave way to intense debates about privilege, environmental responsibility, and the commercialization of space. As Perry returned to Earth with a beaming smile and a sense of accomplishment, the backlash was already beginning to take shape. Following the high of landing, Katy Perry and her fellow crew members celebrated. There were champagne toasts, heartfelt speeches, and media interviews. But parallel to the celebrations were waves of criticism and growing unrest on social platforms. The cost of the NS-31 mission became a focal point of the debate. Each seat, experts estimated, cost approximately $28 million. It's a number so staggering that it instantly stirred resentment. For the everyday person, the idea of spending that much for 10 minutes in space seemed not just unrelatable, it felt offensive. Was this scientific progress, or was it a vanity project? For her critics, Perry's flight symbolized the excess of celebrity culture. Social media lit up with commentary, many accusing her of flaunting privilege under the guise of empowerment. Hashtags like "Tarn Space Privilege" and "Millionaire Mission" trended for days. Some called it a distraction from real problems: climate change, poverty, war. A tweet summed it up sharply. So Katy Perry went to space, but did she take our problems with her, or just her personal brand? Still, not everyone saw it that way. Supporters hailed the mission for breaking stereotypes and boundaries. An all-female crew, in an industry long dominated by men? That alone was enough to make headlines. Young girls across the globe watched the launch, some with tears in their eyes. Teachers played the footage in classrooms, parents discussed it at dinner tables. Representation matters, and for many, Katy's presence in space meant they could imagine themselves there too. Perry herself addressed the criticisms with poise. In an emotional interview post-flight, she acknowledged her privilege, but emphasized the power of visibility. "I know I'm lucky, but I also know how important visibility is. If my flight inspires just one girl to pursue science, maybe it's worth it," she said. And that's the crux of the controversy. Where do we draw the line between inspiration and indulgence? Does scientific access justify the cost if it brings attention and curiosity to space exploration? Or does it trivialize an endeavor once reserved for the most rigorously trained astronauts? As debates raged on, the environmental implications of the flight also came under scrutiny. For a planet already facing climate challenges, every launch matters. And for Katy Perry, the next wave of criticism was about to come. Not from fans or scientists, but from environmentalists who questioned whether this entire mission should have happened in the first place. The public outcry over environmental concerns quickly gained traction. Environmental watchdogs pointed out that space flights like NS-31 release significant amounts of carbon and other pollutants into the upper atmosphere. While the flight duration was brief, the impact wasn't. Environmental scientists shared calculations showing how much CO2 was emitted per passenger, and it wasn't a flattering number. Katy Perry, already in the spotlight for her glamorous ascent, now stood as a symbol of climate irresponsibility. Perry's team scrambled to control the narrative. Statements were released emphasizing Blue Origin's efforts to reduce emissions and innovate more sustainable propulsion technologies. They highlighted the company's work on reusable rockets and reduced waste. But the damage, to some extent, had already been done. Activists demanded that celebrities like Perry use their influence to promote climate-friendly alternatives instead of indulging in space tourism. The debate became heated, with environmental experts appearing on news outlets criticizing not just Perry, but the growing trend of celebrity spaceflights in general. Still, amid the backlash, Perry continued to advocate for the mission's intended message: curiosity, education, and empowerment. She partnered with STEM organizations, funded space education programs for underprivileged children, and appeared at international conferences promoting science and sustainability. She wasn't just defending her decision, she was trying to transform it into a force for good. Her goal, it seemed, was to rewrite the narrative. And slowly, some hearts began to soften. Videos emerged of students in rural classrooms watching the launch, cheering for the moment Katy floated above Earth. Testimonials poured in, stories of young girls now dreaming of becoming astronauts, scientists, engineers. Perry had touched something deep, something aspirational. The line between vanity and value, while still blurry, was no longer dismissed outright. But the storm hadn't passed yet. A documentary filmmaker released behind-the-scenes footage of the mission's preparation. It showed intense branding meetings, strategic planning of social media posts, and discussions of how to monetize the journey afterward. Critics seized on this footage as evidence that the entire venture was a carefully orchestrated marketing campaign. For them, this wasn't a moment of inspiration. It was a commercial in zero gravity. The controversy deepened. And as Perry prepared for her next move, one thing became clear. Her journey to space was only the beginning of a far more complicated odyssey. As the space tourism industry expands, Katy Perry's spaceflight has become a flashpoint in the growing debate about the commercialization of space. The spotlight shifted from the environmental concerns to the broader question: should space be reserved for scientists, astronauts, and genuine exploration, or is it now just another playground for the ultra-wealthy and celebrities? Critics argue that the rush to commercialize space could take the focus away from real scientific endeavors. NASA, once the only agency that could afford to send people into space, now finds itself in competition with private companies offering VIP seats for the rich and famous. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Richard Branson have led the charge, and celebrities like Perry are often at the forefront, using their platforms to promote the allure of space travel. However, this commercialization has sparked an ongoing conversation about who deserves access to space and what the true purpose of space exploration should be. For some, it's a question of ethics. Can we justify the enormous costs and environmental impact when we have pressing issues here on Earth? Or should we be inspired by the possibilities that space presents and hope that it fosters greater global collaboration? Perry's flight, like those of other celebrities, has undeniably drawn attention to the potential of space. However, it's also raised the specter of inequality, suggesting that space travel is yet another luxury for those who can afford it. A major part of the debate revolves around the idea of privilege. Perry's flight highlighted a growing divide between the elite and the general public, people who work tirelessly on Earth to solve real-world problems, but never get to leave the planet. A particular viral tweet stated, "What about the millions struggling with issues on Earth? Is this really what we should be celebrating?" However, some see the celebrity involvement in space tourism as a positive force. Celebrities like Katy Perry have the ability to shine a spotlight on what could otherwise be an obscure and elitist venture, one expert argued. Their fame could make space more mainstream, engaging new audiences and creating excitement around space exploration. Moreover, as the costs of technology and space travel continue to drop, The hope is that space tourism will one day be accessible to more people, not just the ultra-wealthy. The issue here, many agree, isn't space tourism in itself, but how it's being marketed and who benefits from it. Can it be a tool for inspiring a generation, or is it simply an indulgence for the rich to flaunt? The truth lies somewhere in between. It's undeniable that Perry's flight, along with those of other celebrities, has sparked interest in space and the future of exploration. However, this interest needs to be harnessed in ways that benefit all of humanity, not just the privileged few. As Perry's spaceflight continues to reverberate through social media and the press, the larger questions about the future of space exploration remain. Will celebrity-backed missions become more common? Or will the conversation shift back toward scientific advancements and the potential of space as a resource for the entire world? One thing is for sure, the commercial space age has begun, and its impact is only beginning to unfold. As the dust settles from the initial frenzy, Katy Perry's spaceflight begins to take on a new perspective. The controversy that followed, the mission has sparked widespread debate about space tourism, celebrity influence, and the future of human exploration beyond Earth. But perhaps the most significant aspect of Perry's journey is the lasting impact it has had on public perception and the discourse around space travel. Despite the criticisms, Perry's flight helped bring space into the mainstream like never before. Her mission was one of the most high-profile, widely viewed space events in recent years, and it captured the imagination of people all over the world. For many, the sight of a pop star soaring through the cosmos wasn't just a spectacle, it was a reminder that space exploration is no longer a distant dream reserved for the few. With the rapid advancements in technology, space is becoming a frontier that could one day be accessible to everyone. The legacy of Perry's spaceflight is multifaceted. For young girls and aspiring scientists, it was a powerful demonstration that space is for everyone, regardless of gender. Perry's flight symbolizes the breaking down of barriers in traditionally male-dominated fields, showing that women, too, can take part in the most groundbreaking endeavors of our time. This sends a message of empowerment that cannot be overlooked. The impact of seeing a female pop icon in space is immeasurable for those who have often been told that the stars are out of their reach. However, Perry's journey also reminds us of the ethical challenges facing the space tourism industry. While the mission undoubtedly inspired millions, it also serves as a cautionary tale about the risks of over-commercializing space. The question remains, as we push further into space, how do we ensure that the pursuit of exploration doesn't get overshadowed by the desire for profit and fame? The challenge is not just about what happens in space, but what happens here on Earth, and whether those who journey into the cosmos will use their platform to make a positive difference. As we look ahead to future space missions and the growing role of celebrities in these ventures, we must ask ourselves, what kind of space do we want to create? Will it be a place of wonder and collaboration, or one of privilege and exclusivity? Katy Perry's spaceflight, for all its controversy, has sparked an essential conversation about the direction in which we are heading. The mission to the stars might be the first of many, but how it shapes the future of space exploration and whether it serves humanity's best interests remains to be seen. In the end, Perry's journey to space wasn't just about one pop star's desire to break new ground. It was a reflection of our collective dreams, aspirations, and challenges as we stand on the edge of a new era in human history. The legacy of this flight will be debated for years to come, but one thing is certain. Katy Perry's spaceflight will forever be a moment in history that changed the way we think about space, celebrity, and the future of exploration.